Well, welcome everyone to this discussion panel about AI in retail banking. So today we are going to focus on use cases in retail banking, and by retail banking we mean not only consumer banking but also small businesses. And we are fortunate, we're lucky to have a great panel, very complementary companies with a very large private bank, global bank, universal bank, Société Générale. We have also a major financial institution, BPI France, who is represented both as a user of AI, but also as an investor in AI. We have also a very big consulting group, Capgemini. And last but not least, a technology leader, global leader in payments, PayPal. So to start with, I'd like to focus now on the top use cases in retail banking. What is really working today? What is already in production? What is creating value? So maybe I thought, Claire, if you could elaborate on that and tell us, for instance, at Société Générale, is AI transforming the way you deal with clients?
Sure. You may have seen before me Philippe Emerick, our Deputy CEO, talking about our use case. So I'm going to try to give some diversity and some other ones. But in Société Générale, we perceive AI as critical. And for that, we have created a specific team in AI under my leadership. And my position was created directly reporting to Frédéric Oudéa to foster and enhance the work that is currently done in the business unit and service unit. And we have about already 80 use cases that are in production, in industrialization at scale through Société Générale. So we are not anymore, in the POC and trying. We are living AI, and we have about 200 that are coming, and maturing. Where can you observe them? Philippe have mentioned some before, such as Mosaic in fraud detection, which has been built by our teams. But broadly speaking, I will say that where we see most of the impact in the retail segment is really about changing the transactional conversation to a bidirectional, so changing inside the core banking system progressively this conversation in order to support a human relationship. And the second thing is obviously in operation and predictability, such as when you're going to be overdraft, about predicting if you're going to reimburse or not, so we can focus where it's most useful.
Thank you, Claire. So maybe Damien. So PayPal is a technology company. It was born as a technology company. You've been using machine learning, I guess, for some years. What are the main use cases for you today?
First of all, it's great that we have such event in Paris. Gathering the ecosystem. So thank you for having us. For me, what is always mind-blowing is the amount of data available. I guess I read that we enter the era of zettabyte. For anyone who remember using floppy disk, it's pretty scary. And what is amazing is most of the data is coming from that, smartphones. And I believe 80% of the data available in the world has been created in the last 2 years. And when you look forward, today, I guess you have one connected device for any human being. And in 5 years, you are going to have like 10 connected devices for every human being. So the amount of data that is going to be available and the amount of data that is going to unleash new use cases is just crazy. And having said that, when you look at commerce, payment, banking, this is just the beginning. 80% of commerce is happening offline, no data. 80% of payment are made in cash, no data. So I guess the use case that we're going to see are going to be incredible. And for us at PayPal is, roughly every day we process between 25 and 30 million transactions. So without AI, without machine learning, without algorithm, we cannot make it work. So it's not a use case for us, it's just our core business, I would say.
All right, thank you. Arnaud, as Deputy CEO of BPI, so as I mentioned, so you have deployed some use case in AI. I think in your sales and marketing process. Can you explain a little bit where you're using AI?
Yeah, well, basically we are using AI a bit everywhere. We are a very specific business in the sense that we only finance companies, small-size companies, which is the place in the financing market where you have the less data. So the point for us, there are all the classical stuff about operational efficiency, commercial efficiency, but the key point for us, where we are really, I think, pioneering what is done in finance in AI, is in the way we can get more knowledge on our customer. And this knowledge can be used in marketing as in risk management at the same time. But this is really new on that market segment. It's new on the private equity side, which is made of plenty of very small actors. It's new on the SME classic lending side. And there's a lot to be done by acting on, if I may say, soft data, which was not used in the past and which is now reachable and usable. And you need a lot of AI to use that in a sufficiently structured way to finance companies. So that's where we are focusing our efforts. The rest, a lot of actors are pioneering for us or have pioneered for us, so we are just using things which have been done before.
Okay.
This part of the market is very interesting.
Okay, thank you. Marie-Caroline, so you are working in a big consulting firm, so you see a lot of use cases, you work with many clients. Where do you think are the most interesting use case right now in retail banking, and what are your clients working on today?
So there are a number of technologies that are already quite mature. We've seen chatbots with many great benefits, both for clients and for efficiency. We also see development of machine learning, for instance, in fraud or in prediction. It has shown very strong power. Just to give you a few figures so that you have some numbers also, for a large UK bank, we made some predictions on the risk of non-reimbursement of mortgages, and the successful ratio of prediction is around 80%, which is quite a very good prediction. And in the automation field, we have now developed some machine learning engines that are in production, and that can really read, understand, and interpret some, for instance, unstructured data that are in entry of the processes. And this leads to savings which are quite impressive, around 50% to 80%, depending on the processes. But when you think of how many types of these processes you have in the large banks and also in the large insurance, then you see that it's going to be a major transformation.
All right, thank you. And now, so switching to the near future or the midterm, like few years from now, where do you think this is headed? What do you see as the key emerging use cases or business models that will be enabled by artificial intelligence in the coming years? It's for you, Marie-Caroline.
We see maybe two trends. One in the technique. So, for instance, in France, we think that voice is going to increase in terms of type of solution. Not so many clients currently have voice devices, but it's going to increase a lot. That's something for sure. We also see a trend in how companies organize to tackle AI. There has been many experimentations, many work on the data, and especially in banks with BCBS 239. Now there is really, let's say, a way to consider all these initiatives at a more global level and think how it's really transforming the organization. Of course, in terms of products and services, but in terms of people. And when I say people, it's both internally and also the client. You have to make some change management for your employees, but also for your clients. And this is something that have not been tackled by all of our clients yet.
Okay. Claire, so Société Générale is present in a large number of countries. There are some countries more advanced than others, like for instance China, of course, maybe Russia in some ways. Can we use those countries to get an idea of what the future could look like, or are they too different from what we know in Western Europe?
Definitely, China and Russia are presenting much more advanced and disruptive business model than what we observe in Europe or in the US. And this translated in both of the case by a government decision to really start selling data, personal data, or to build business model into them. What we observe in China, where they are deploying at large scale the social scoring, which is live today, is very impressive, and to some extent trigger conversation as much on ethics than is it going to be a reality for us one day. But for me, when obviously I look after the group and see the different use case and portfolio, my conclusion is you need to have very structured approach with some that have business case, but the technology and the advance, and this is what you were mentioning about the data, is so recent and evolving so fast. And I've graduated 15 years ago in artificial intelligence, and for a long time we didn't see progress. That I think it will be a mistake to build a long-term business case on the AI. And I don't think this is what PayPal do. Maybe you will talk about it, or GAFAs do. I think the opportunity lies about tackling very quickly some short-term business opportunities that help you to progress very incrementally towards your bigger one. And that's what we have done in Société Générale with one of our internal startups called Moonshot Internet, which is providing contextual insurance, which is a real time, when you buy a ticket, will provide you your insurance in real time using your data as much, from your environment as the one you share through this transaction. And for me, what I've observed is that this have nurtured a full wave of reflection for insurance business about the way they are seeing their future. And this journey for them have started 7 years ago about APIization, moving to the cloud, and doing all of that. And today, in Société Générale, we are about more than 60% of our application in the cloud. We are talking about conversions of the data lake, and that's why, we can arrive to that. But it's a work of any effort. It's like there is no days, there is no easy or silver bullet about it.
Okay. Damien, PayPal obviously works with hundreds of thousands of merchants, among others, around the world. So you have a very good, idea of what these merchants and partners are working on. What's your view of key trends in AI from your perspective in the ecosystem?
So we have a bit more than 280 million customers. And we have millions of merchants, small ones, medium-sized ones, big ones. And I guess for us, AI, machine learning, really at the cornerstone of first, removing as much as possible friction in commerce. Because, when you come from the physical world, you have a human being almost behind every transaction. You go to supermarket, to a store, at one point you need to pay, and this is going to be handled by a human being. When you are online, you need to rely on a set of data that is completely different. So removing friction for us is important. And for instance, we have for a couple of years now a product called One Touch, where basically we allow our customers to check out without giving any password. It's not that we take a bet because we have enough information. We use heuristics to make decision and to allow the transaction to go through. And at the same time, you cannot compromise on security. Actually, PayPal, you refer to us as a tech company. Actually, in Europe, we are a full bank. So we need also to fulfill our KYC obligation or anti-money laundering obligation, and we do that very seriously. So you need to find the good balance between removing friction, but also not compromising on security. And then finally, also for us, there is a question of what is the cost of serving our customers. the people who call us, but also the segment of the population where, thanks to technology, we can also access to those segments in the market and also fulfill our mission to really help inclusion of financial services and democratizing financial services, because, you know, there is a big reality check. You have over 1 billion human beings in the world which are not banked, and that should be the primary reason and purpose of companies like us.
Okay, thank you. Arnaud, how is BPI supporting the AI industry? I think that France is a pretty good position from at least from a startup perspective in AI. I believe BPI is a major investor, directly or indirectly through funded funds in AI. Is AI for finance a key, I would say, investment area for you? And what are the main trends that you see in the market?
Frankly, in terms of French startups, and I guess generally speaking in terms of startups, I would not say that AI for finance is the main theme. What we see is, you saw a lot of fintech companies using AI, so you have a lot of fintech startups, obviously, and we are supporting them and working with them. So we are both investing, lending, and working with these companies. Everything we do at our digital direction, at our intelligent, sorry, that's the French way to say it, but AI lab is done with French startups. It's a principle, and we can do a lot of things with them. So we try to help a lot, but as an investor, we don't see a segment which would be AI for finance. There is no such thing. You have a lot of AI companies which are, in terms of business models, more like consulting companies, so not an easy case in terms of investment. And then you have a lot of companies with a lot of AI inside, if I may say, and these are the ones we are investing in, basically. But AI, generally speaking, there's a few. You take DreamQuark, I guess there are around here people like that who are specialized, but it's not a big theme for us as an investor. We don't see this as a big theme. It's a big theme as a bank, AI for finance, but as a startup investor, as a venture capital investor, it's not a theme in itself. Less than fintech or less than general AI. Because to be an efficient AI startup, you need to be very sharp in terms of algorithms. And so you cannot be very sharp in terms of both sector and algorithms, I guess. So you have people with very deep technology knowledge, people with very deep sector knowledge, but not both of them.
But do you think we are at the beginning and then you will see startups specializing in that vertical, or do you think that by nature AI is more transverse?
Well, we see startups specializing in some use cases. Fraud is a good example. We all know the startups in this field, and there will be other fields like that. But AI startups in the sense of I'm just doing AI and powering AI, I don't think so. No, I think it will be a lot of very smart guys in every companies, and there's a lot of very smart French guys in AI for sure, in every company in the world.
All right, okay. So we have a few minutes left. I would like to dwell a little bit on how you organize to make AI successful, how you scale also from POC to industrialization of AI. What do you centralize? What do you localize? What do you do internally? What do you do externally? So those are a lot of questions, but maybe Claire, if you could shed some light on this. Is there a corporate AI program at Société Générale? And if so, what are the objectives?
I think we could debate about centralization and decentralization for a long time. I just wanted to come back on what Arnaud was saying, because I think there is an opportunity we see rising, which is about using AI in everything around risk and compliance, where you will probably see some startup actors that are really helping the needs of large organizations and large banks to transform. So that don't mean that we are not doing that internally, but I think the need for change in this area is so huge, and I've been living 10 years in the UK, and working with the FCA in some of these topics around how do they implement AI was you can see that there will be some aspects that are very game-changing, and I think some startup will manage to take the prize. And some are French. And I wish them very good luck for their future. But you know, about the organization, do we have a corporate AI program? Not exactly. We have created under my team an AI lead and recruited a chief data scientist, which is a very small team to coordinate and work with the 350 data scientists that exist already across the business. And as they are present in 61 countries, I didn't think it was a good idea to centralize all of them, even if I'm not sure the business will have even been in line with that, because they're working with the client. They are working closer to what they do, and it don't make any sense to have them transversely. But what you need to think about is HR programs. It's about encouraging the business to fundamentally think differently. And you know, the example we were showcasing in the masterclass about capital markets is showing that they transform their business to the point that when their client connects, they see research equity directly prioritized, and that has become the way they operate their business. So it's a strategic shift. But we do have corporate AI trainings, which we do with our top 60 and progressively with all our business, because for us what is critical, more than the organization, is that in every and any of our 27 line of business or service unit, they put AI at the core of their business strategy, because this is the potential that we see that is going to be hugely transformative. And I think, you know, we didn't at the time, but we are just at the top of the iceberg because we didn't talk about photos, videos, which are profoundly going to transform everything around it.
Okay, thank you. Well, we don't have much time left, so I would like to ask each of you maybe if you have one piece of advice that you would give to an organization, a retail bank that would engage into an AI program, transformation program. What will it be? Just one sentence.
I will refer to what Ronan was saying before, the opportunity for the industry around open banking and the opportunity to collaborate, which is for me like one of the biggest opportunities that we have, especially in Europe, supported by the regulation.
Thank you.
Think of your data first, probably, and think transversality across the organization, mostly.
Thank you.
I would say probably think big, not experimentation, but think as a whole, and probably think human also, and care about the people.
Thank you.
Definitely. Think muchet, think about your client.
Makes sense. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for this interesting discussion.